Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me on what we call our SWISH Sounds podcast. SWISH is our acronym for Selling with Integrity and Selling Honestly, which is our sales methodology. You've just got back from LA.
I have,
first and foremost.
Yes.
We just spoke about it briefly then, but how was it in general?
Look, I love Los Angeles. The energy, the vibe. It's a cool, happening place, and we know that because of primarily the celebrity in Hollywood and those kind of things. But in our industry, there's a real buzz at the moment, and there's a lot of momentum there. Some amazing speakers coming through, and some cool speakers we all know and love there. But yeah, I just love the place. I love getting back there every 90 days, doing deals, collaborating, and if you haven't done Los Angeles, you've got to do LA.
Yeah, okay. And what I liked about your trip was actually the end of the trip, where yesterday, I obviously follow you on the socials, you're playing golf with your boy.
I was,
Straight back into it. I've got a 10-month-old baby boy myself. How do you cope with being away, or do they come with you as much as possible?
I travel a lot more than when they do come with me, so I probably will do 13 trips overseas this year.
Yeah, wow.
They will come on 2 or 3.
Okay.
So, I've got an amazing wife who truly understands the vision and purpose that I have. She's ingrained in that. She's doing everything to make sure I can achieve that. So that helps. If you don't have someone on the same page, it's difficult. But we've just got a really tight schedule. We've built processes and systems around us as a family to make sure that we benefit from the travel and the hard work. And it's great to be able to come home and not have to think about too much stuff. Go out, play some golf with my son, or go for a swim, those kind of things. So having a great partner and having systems around the balance of family and business really helps.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So we're also fortunate we've got Dr. Glenn Richards from Green Cross Vets invested in our business. One of the best messages he's ever given me, or lessons, was that there isn't any balance.
Okay.
He said, Ryan, stop searching for elusive balance. There's counterbalance. You're either all with your family or you're all at work. Where do you sit on that?
Look, I don't know. I think I would personally disagree respectfully. I've found a system that works for me. I'm not saying that it's duplicatable to other people because every situation is different, but I do have what I feel is the best harmonious relationship with my family that can mix with business. Nice. So whether you call that true balance or not, I'm unsure, but it's fun to come home and be really present, and it's fun to leave and go and do business.
Yeah, nice.
For me, that's kind of the win-win for me.
Yeah, and I can feel that this isn't work for you. You can sense it when you walk in here. There's a buzz.
Yeah, look, we have fun. We enjoy the process. You can't do something for as long as I have at the level that we have, and it's got to remain fun. If you don't, then the revenue reduces, your tenure reduces, your staff's morale reduces. So, while we work hard and we have a really committed team, there are elements where we schedule fun. We make sure that this is a fun environment. Even with our location here, I moved the business here purely because it would change the morale of the business. It doesn't necessarily equate to you move and you increase revenue, but I know that people are staying here longer. I know their average hours per day are longer at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
So while we don't have everything figured out, that's for sure, we've found a model that works for us and our staff.
Nice. And I want to start by taking you all the way back then. My understanding is that you're a Brizzy boy originally?
Yes, actually born in Gosford.
Okay, yeah.
But moved to Brisbane 6 months of age. So yes. So I spent 11 years in Brisbane / the Gold Coast.
Yes.
So I'm a Queenslander at heart.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so you're a Maroon?
Yes.
Maroon, should I say?
I am a Maroon, whatever you want to call it, I am.
And then you, 14 years old, you went to boarding school?
I did.
As well. And then
I was back in Sydney for that.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a mindset shift because you were surrounded by different people for the first time that had a bit of money, or a bit more of an affluent background.
And the journey started well before that.
Okay.
I do remember at the age of 7 or 8 asking my dad, how come they've got that car and we have that car? How come they're living there and we're living here? I tapped into that, or it come to me early. But it wasn't until the age of 14 we went to boarding school. It's a very well-to-do boarding school, and my parents really struggled to get me there and keep me there. but I met some amazing people whose parents did amazing things, and they were entrepreneurs or successful business owners, and I felt like I was getting closer and closer to something that I could resonate with, and something that started to click with my mentality. So yeah, when you all of a sudden it's a school holiday and you're 15 and you're taking one of your dad's private jets somewhere, staying at another mate's dad's third holiday home, and getting a Rolls Royce to pick you up, that's a little bit different to the school that I went to before. So it's funny how we attract these things into our life to either find a meaning or a purpose or create more questions. And that school, that time, in that environment definitely raised a lot of questions for me.
For sure. And one of the questions that I ask an awful lot, because it's about entrepreneurship. I don't feel that, I didn't believe that I was a natural sort of entrepreneur. I got to the age of 30, no businesses, 37 now, I've got 3, and I do put it down to surround myself with the right people. But the question I've still never been able to answer myself is, was that always inside me, and those people brought it out of me? Are we born with it, or is it something that we learn? So obviously Success Resources is about giving people the resources to be successful and maybe become an entrepreneur. So by default, are we suggesting that it can be taught, the entrepreneurship journey?
I actually don't believe it can. That's my own personal opinion. I believe you are born with it, or it's developed extremely early. I can already see in my kids. My son is an entrepreneur already. I can already see it. My daughter is not. She's not even 2 yet, but I can already tell.
That's amazing.
Now, we'll see how true I am and see if the thesis unfolds that way. But I believe there's something inside of you that you want to solve problems. I also believe that entrepreneurs are, we were talking about the spectrum. I think they're on the spectrum. And they're built a little bit differently. Not necessarily better. If anything, not as normal as most people. So, for me, there's a level of ADD that I've got. There's a level of, I need to figure something out, I need to solve things, I need things in my hands. I'm on this spectrum, and I put that down to that I'm this entrepreneur who wants to try and solve problems and create problems and then solve them again, right? So in my mind, with my philosophy over 20 years of business, with many business partners, with many staff, I feel that you're born with it. And it's not saying that there's anything wrong if you weren't born like that, or you're a late bloomer. I just think you're not as far on the spectrum as some of other people, right? So, and that can be an entrepreneurial spectrum. It's not saying that you're mentally, not as fit as anyone else. But for me, in my studies, and this really has been a study since I was 8, I believe you are born with it, and it comes out and it comes through you.
So are you chasing Sienna?
Yeah.
Are you looking out for those little problem-solving traits in them that early then?
100%.
Yeah. Wow.
And even their little psychologies and the way they think. And my son all he thinks about is, how can I make money? Dad, if I go scoop that pool and get all the leaves off it, how much will you give me?
Yeah, wow.
Because if I do it and you don't have to do it, it's going to save you some time.
Yeah, nice.
I'm like, dude, you do that, I'll give you $3. Yeah. $3? This is worth more than $3. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing that, right? I've seen that since a very early age.
Amazing.
So we'll see if it all proves out, see if the theory is correct. But from my experience, that's what I can see.
Yeah, amazing. So then we went through that journey of being surrounded by different people from more of an entrepreneurial background. You started your first business at 19, 20. Door knocking, car servicing.
Car servicing, a pamphlet or a card where it was perforated and you could get your wheel alignment done, you could get 2 services, you could get an oil change, and we used to sell that door to door. It was a tough gig back then, and I think about business now and think, I wouldn't do that way again. But at the time, it felt so liberating to be able to be in charge of my own thing, to be able to monetize and get a return for the effort that I put in, not for the hours I put in. So it was a great way for me to hone some skills and become, a salesperson. And it was a challenge, but it was so exciting. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I love that you just said there for you to become a salesperson. So our biggest challenge as sales trainers is getting people to acknowledge or appreciate that we're all in sales.
Yes.
We're sales trainers, communication coaches, whichever way you want to phrase it. What is your explanation of sales? What's your terminology?
Look, it's a transference of influence and persuasion and transference of energy.
Yes.
And there has to be fair exchange. Do you mean? So I figured out early, if I could persuade and influence somebody ethically, then I could make a lot of money over my career.
Yeah.
And that's what I teach a lot of these guys here, is it's the system, and I've put together it's not a sales script, it's a sales process.
Yes.
And I still use it today to close some of my partners and people around the world. If you follow that process, it'll pay you millions of dollars per year, right? And I don't care if you put Tony Robbins in there, Jay Shetty, Donald Trump, whoever you want to put in there.
Yeah.
If you follow the process, it'll work and it'll pay you very handsomely. So I love the sales game. Even when I come into our beautiful country and it says, what occupation are you in? It's still sales.
Yeah,
it hasn't changed.
Yeah, I love it. And do you see that from stage? Are you seeing the best speakers that you engage, are they the best salespeople?
No. If anything, they think they're the best, but typically aren't the best at that level of selling, right?
Yeah.
So you can be a master persuader influencer in digital, does not translate to you get on a stage and selling into thousands of people.
Sure.
Doesn't necessarily correlate.
Yeah.
You could be amazing at one-on-one, but doesn't mean you can get on stage.
Yeah.
I tell you categorically right now that I couldn't think of anything worse than being on stage and selling.
Really?
It's just, you know, if I had to do it, I truly believe I could.
Yeah.
But I just wouldn't be passionate about it.
Yeah.
So if you're not passionate about it, can you really succeed at it?
Yeah.
So sales is a funny game, and a lot of people believe they've mastered the sales game, but there's so much more you could learn out there. And it's growing. Jimmy, I use tools now, there's no way I would have used it 20 years ago. My phone is a sales tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love doing a digital video recording follow-up process. You know, I love going, hey Ryan, it's Michael, just want to give you a quick reach out and go, I so loved our connection today, hopefully we can do business together. I've done millions of dollars because of that phone in a sales process to help our business.
Yeah.
And it's such an evolution, it's such a constant moving thing. So it's funny putting people on stage who are world-class sales experts in many different areas and seeing them in different environments not necessarily succeed as well as they think they should.
Yeah.
So it's a game that's got to be continually mastered.
For sure. Because people would come to the events. I mean, I've been 4 years in a row to NAC, and I've got a photo of where I sat the first time I ever came. I was sitting second back row.
Okay.
Actually, second back row, and then the last one I was right at the front of the front. Yeah, so I've kind of worked my way forward. But I know there is a preconceived misconception of people that are going to come to these events and get sold to.
Yeah,
absolutely. We have people come to our events. We're a sales training company.
Yes.
They will purposely sit at the back so they can leave before the sales pitch. What is your take on those people thinking they're going to be sold to at Success Resources, where they're actually going to take a lot of value, in my opinion, but it's taken, I've gone through that journey, because I didn't want to be a salesperson.
Yeah.
So what's your explanation of what people are actually doing from stage?
Look, I think it's absolutely imperative that people get comfortable with the sales process. So I do believe that good salespeople love being sold to. They love seeing, will this person be able to get me? Can they connect and truly understand, right? But I tell people, if you're coming to my events, you will be sold to. Yeah. Because there are people on the journey who need a helping hand. Yes. Now, I know categorically 20% will buy, 80% will not buy a thing. And I'm totally fine with that. So when we get up there and we sell, I know that there's so many people in that audience who need that solution and will buy that solution. We had an unprecedented result recently. It was at a Tony Robbins event here in Sydney. We had something like 45% of the audience take up another program.
Yeah, wow.
Which continues to re-energize me to go, people still need help.
Sure.
You know, if all of a sudden 3 to 5% were buying, I'd be highly concerned. I'd be going, has the model moved? Has the thing changed? Is the environment, the landscape different now?
Yeah.
But, you know, if you come into my events, I pride myself on having events that are cost effective and easy for people to make a buying decision.
Sure.
But where we make our money is on those additional education programs. When someone goes, I need help, I need to be mentored, coached or trained, that's where I put my focus. Yeah. And look, I'm always be conscious of where your journey's at and where someone else's journey is. Yeah. Somebody might be just starting and may need an additional program, while others may be very happy with where they're at and not need additional coaching and training. So I make no bones about it. I'm in the sales business, and if you come to our event, we probably won't disappoint you. We'll probably be selling something.
Yeah.
And I know that over 25 years of doing this, that there are people out there who want help and training, and that's the business we're in.
Yeah, I really like that, and I think you're right. Don't stop comparing like other people's day one to your 10,000, and me sitting at the back 4 years ago. I probably didn't know that I needed it, but I didn't know that I needed it. So I've gone through a journey of actually investing in myself. I didn't invest in myself till the age of 29, 30, which is crazy now to look at it. And I look at the likes of young Sam that you've got working here, and he's putting his money in putting his money where his mouth is, investing, moving cities. I'm like, that inspires me as a 17-year-old. What I've realised over the years is that if you genuinely have a product or service that's going to benefit the end user, you're doing them a disservice if you don't actually tell them. You can't sell a secret.
I love that.
And I really like that about the people that you have on stage, bar Gary, who doesn't really seem to do anything, but I'm sure he does really well on the back end anyway. Do you guys influence how they present from stage? Do you do you rein them in at all?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Look, I've given Gary feedback before. Absolutely. Depending on the audience and the brand and what the outcome of the day is all about. Jimmy, the National Achievers Congress as a brand has a very specific outcome.
Yeah.
The one with Richard Branson coming up, Inspire and Succeed, is a different outcome.
Sure.
So we've got to brief them on who's turning up, what type of audience we think there's going to be. So Gary will shift his talk for that.
Yeah.
And then there's other people where their talk is pretty much word for word every single time.
Yeah. Well.
And then more keynote speakers, then trainers or educators. So yeah, we pride ourselves on not doing the same event twice. So think about that, right? 500 events a year and not doing the same event twice.
Yeah, well.
So that's why this whiteboard gets such a workout, because I've got to sit here and go, well, what are the new 500 events we're going to do? What are they going to look like this year? They're going to be different. Sure, we'll have similar headline acts, but you can't do the same event twice. I can't do Gary Grant in Sydney, NAC in 2020.
Sure.
I won't have another 20,000 people turn up.
Yeah.
So it's constantly using that entrepreneurial muscle to continue to find ways to add value day in, day out, 10 times a week.
Yeah. So is there a level of market research then trying to understand what Australia wants to hear?
Yes.
As well?
Yeah. And every region's different. Like what's happening right now is in America. We had a big National Achievers Congress in Los Angeles last week. What's happening and what's hot there doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be hot in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, or Singapore, Shanghai.
Sure.
So we need to be very conscious on where's the movement, what's happening, what's exciting. Do you mean 2 years ago, Amazon really took over?
Yeah.
And it was hard to escape the Amazon marketing machine that everywhere you went, whether it was press, whether it was advertising online, whether it was your TV, everything was Amazon. So, we've got a great partnership with Adam Hudson, who's on the Gold Coast as well, and we're seeing Amazon now as such an exciting product for us globally, but it won't be forever.
Yeah.
So we've got to pick those niches, pick those things, and hopefully if we get it right, we help some people. If we don't, then we kind of move on.
Yeah, sure. So for advice for people that are out there doing their own events and touring as well, what would you recommend they do to find out what the market wants?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, despite looking at where the market is, what are you passionate about?
Yeah.
Because if you're super passionate about something, the market will find you.
Yeah, I love that.
So, if you get super passionate about whatever it is you love, start putting content out there, start testing it. Then you can get into a testing phase. How do I deliver it? Am I the best person to deliver it? Should I be putting someone else on to deliver it? How do we sell, market, and fulfill that passion? And then you can kind of get in some testing and pulling it apart, breaking it, and seeing what works. But look, what I've seen that pays dividends over a long period of time is somebody fulfilling their passion. Yeah. Turning up every day, helping people, and aligning that to their passion, you'll eventually monetize that. Yeah. So, but here's a big lesson I'm learning of late, is that timing is everything. I'm listening, learning, delving into a lot of content at the moment, a lot of learning myself, and timing is so important. You can have the most amazing product, the most amazing way to deliver it, market it, but if the market's not ready for it, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Tony Robbins talks about, if you're going east looking for a sunset, I don't care how good you are, you're never going to get it. Yeah. So you need to find your alignment, understand it's a long game. If you're trying to find the best solution, the best market, and fulfill that and get in and out in the next 2 or 3 years, unless your timing is absolutely impeccable, you're not going to achieve that.
Yeah.
So being passionate with a long-term view, wanting to help people, will pay dividends over decades.
Sure. This might be a tough question then, because you're talking about 500 different events. You've done over 1,000, 1,200?
12, probably a lot more than that now. That was a while back.
Yeah. Favourite one? Is there one that stands out an absolute mile?
Oh, look, this might be, to be honest, it was probably my first UPW with Tony Robbins.
Okay.
First time I walked on fire, the first time I'd been to a lot of little events around, but when I went to my first Tony Robbins event, I was like, holy shit, we're in an arena here with 5,000-6,000 people, and you spend 4 days and you're just in awe of this guy, right? And there's no doubt I had Tony on a pedestal, so that probably made the experience perceived to be a lot greater. But I had and what comes down to as well is the level of breakthrough that you have can distort all the other hundreds of events. But I did that, I participated in that, and had such a big aha, and that changed the course of my life. That's probably the greatest. I would put down probably the third best one I've ever done was recently with Gary here in Sydney. We did a private 2-day mastermind with Gary. And I sat at the back. I took 28 pages of notes over 2 days, and I saw the depth of knowledge of this entrepreneur like I've never seen before. So did 30 other people in that room. So, I've done a lot of events. There's definitely a couple that come to mind.
Sure. And you spoke just a while back about you're constantly learning, you're constantly evolving. Who are you studying at the moment? Who's your mentors, if you will?
Look, there's plenty. There's some that I'm going deep on because I've got a partnership with them. I mean, I follow a lot of Grant and what he does, a lot of Gary, what he does, Tony. Jay Shetty's another one who I just love his work. I resonate with it so much. And we've got a relationship, and every time I see something that grabs me from Jay, it just solidifies my decision to try and get his message out to the world as much as we can. But then there's various people in different niches. There's Tony Robbins' podcast at the moment when he interviews people on his business mastery program. Is very exciting for me at the moment because they're proven business owners, maybe the founders of Airbnb, maybe the founders of certain things. Skype was one recently I was blown away with. So for me, you kind of look for mentors who are going to help you in this next phase of your life. Right? There's some people who really helped me in my early days, and that was great. That's what I needed, but I probably wouldn't follow much of what they do now because I feel like I've evolved a bit and need the next level of guidance. So there's not one person who I religiously go, that's it, that's all I'm listening to. But for me right now, Jay Shetty and anyone who's built $1 billion plus business who's wanting to share their story, I've probably heard it on the podcast.
Yeah, amazing. Brian Tracy was one of the first influences on you?
Probably the first.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so huge influence on me.
Biggest lessons from him?
Just the art of selling,
the
art of persuasion. Most iconic salesperson that I could think of over the last 20, 30 years. There's some Tom Hopkins and some other people, but he's a guy who just dedicated his life to sales. He's an interesting character to have some dinner and time out of the business as well. So, good guy and still doing some stuff. Kerwin Ray just had him a part of his mastermind in Hawaii recently.
Did he? Wow.
And he was telling me a story. He actually had to wheel him in on a wheelchair, but he's still out there. He's still suited up and still going hard. So, shout out to Brian.
Because it's his passion.
It's his passion.
He's not done it to make money. That's been a natural byproduct.
Absolutely.
You mentioned dinner. I was going to ask this as a bit of a left field question, but it's quite pertinent to where you just said it. You can go for dinner with 3 people that you've either been coached by, you've seen on stage, or just 3 people in general. Who would you choose?
Jay-Z's definitely one.
Okay.
Has to be.
I didn't see that coming.
I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. Not just for his music, but for everything else he does. One would be Elon Musk. And probably Richard Branson. I mean, I've spent some time with Richard, but never over dinner, never at a point where it's like, let's break bread and share something. It's usually backstage or getting out of a car somewhere and those kind of things. So, yeah, Elon Musk, Jay-Z and Richard Branson.
Yeah, nice. I believe the vibe I get from you is that you're doing this truly because you want to impact people. You want to make a difference in their lives. Is there another driver behind it? I know it's not money. I can sense that. Is there something apart from? Are we trying to prove something? Or
yeah, I've definitely got an ego, and as much as I love to say I don't, I've learned how to temper it and harness it. But I'd love to create the largest and most impactful education company on the planet. I really would. Not for the money, not for the fame. We were talking before the cameras roll. I have no interest in being able to walk down the street and have 20 people come and take my photo. I couldn't think of anything worse. But I'd love to be somebody who made a real, genuine impact to billions of people. That's what's driving me at the moment. That's what's growing. And the reason I'm passionate about it is because I've had a glimpse of it. I know we can.
Yeah.
And I see it every time we do an event. I see someone's eyes when they go, I got it. Give me some time, I'm going to go implement this.
Yeah.
And then you get the email come back saying, holy shit, I actually did this, and now I have this, and I check this.
Yeah.
So I get those little reminders and little nuggets of feedback. That's an ROI for me. I love that. It's not the fact that it will probably be a multi-billion-dollar company. It's not the fact that I want to be famous and on the cover of Forbes. I don't want any of that. I just want to have an impact. The underlying thing of all that is that I truly believe we need to build more leaders. And if we want to solve bigger problems, macro problems, we need leaders to do that. Yeah. And I believe I'm in the leadership development game. Yeah. And the more events I put on, the more leaders I can create or help evolve, who will then start a company, inspire more leaders within their company to go start more companies and have this ripple effect. And I think we can create amazing things if we have that kind of vision and purpose.
Yeah, amazing. I love that you said that, and then back in my mind I go, it took me 2 years before I was brave enough, in all honesty, to put myself on camera and say, look, I'm now prepared to train everybody else online how to sell.
Yep.
I knew I was an engineer, I knew I was good at following systems. I'd done the Ryan Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tom Hopkins, everything. And I put everything together in a bit of a process that worked for me. So I thought, oh, maybe I got lucky. And I trained one person. I got the thanks for the feedback, it's working. Yes. Another. And now I'm at the stage where I believe that I'm selfish if I don't put myself in a level of discomfort by speaking from stage, putting myself in front of the camera, because if I do have something that other people can benefit from, why would I hold myself back?
Yeah.
So do you believe that you have now a duty, so even though you don't want the fame, do you have a duty to make yourself famous because you've got a gift of creating leaders that can potentially change the world?
You know what, I do, but I don't feel like I'm incumbent on the planet to do that. It's just my own calling.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden my purpose was to shift, I'd be totally okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't believe it will, but I'm not so, hell-bent on it has to be this, it has to be done this way, blah, blah. I mean, I have other businesses out here that have got nothing to do with education, and I'm passionate about that, but not as from a mission or purpose point of view. So I don't believe it's my duty to be here to do that. I just love it, and I'm just constantly trying to figure out ways that I can do it better and differently and scale it as much as I can. So it's not like this is my duty and nothing else I can stop. I know there are plenty of people built that way. Tony Robbins is 100% built that way. Sure. I mean, we've had a long relationship with Tony, and of late he has had some health issues. Okay. But he gave us absolute reassurance. He's got 30 years left on stage. Now I'm like, he's a guy just financially done, does not need the money, does not need the significance, does not need anything. But it is his true mission, and he will play flat out until it's done. That's cool, but I have no interest in, that's my life purpose, and I have to achieve that, or nothing else will matter. I just got something I'm passionate about, and I'm going to do my very best to try and figure out how I can do that, and impact some lives along the way. But if the purpose changes, or something else becomes so important, here's an example, which you can already feel that it is coming through, is charity. The last 2 years, with various things in my life, which we all go through, I've realised that I could be creating so much awareness for some charitable causes, have nothing to do with education and leadership and sales and that kind of thing. But I'm super passionate about it, and surprisingly passionate about it. To go,
surprised yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, I knew about this charity stuff. I donated. I did World Vision Kids and those kind of things. But in the next couple of years, I'll donate 25% of my time to just charity stuff.
Yeah, amazing.
So that's a sign that was never in my DNA 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was the Michael Lane show, and I want to do this, 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 and this. Now I can see that coming in. So that's why I'm not like, it's this or that, this or nothing. I'm open and flexible. If it pulls me towards it, I'm interested.
Yeah, amazing. And what do you say to those people that they have their passion, purpose, they have their business for charity? Some people say that you're either a charity or a business, make your mind up.
Yeah.
What order do we do that in? For me, it has to be money first. You need to make money to be able to impact.
Yes.
Is that?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's, when you get on the plane, you put your mask on first. You need to figure out your stuff. You can't help someone until you've helped yourself. All those analogies that keeps getting thrown around. But yeah, for me, it's kind of like this one jumped up on me and it surprised me a bit. I follow my intuition religiously, and when it just kept coming through, I'm like, okay, this feels right. Let's do some stuff and let's make an impact. Let's do something that is not proprietary a charity. I don't have a charity.
Sure.
I just want to raise money and solve problems in that area.
Yeah.
So, our goal is to help impact 100 charities in the next 5 years.
Nice.
In all areas all over the world. So $1 from every ticket from all over the globe will go to an SR Give Back Fund. And then we're hoping that every person who goes to our event will want to give $10 to a good cause. A cause that they know 100% of that $10 is going to impact the community. There's no clipping the ticket, there's no nothing. Everything to get that business and that model off the ground has been self-funded. So 100% is going to go there. So, if I can help 100 charities and $5 million a year, that's something that is exciting to me.
Nice. I love how clear that was. That was definitive. I love the numbers. My engineering brain goes perfect. So I'm assuming goal setting, visualization, action planning is something that you strict on.
Strict.
So for upcoming business people or aspiring entrepreneurs, what advice would you give around goal setting and the importance of it? Yeah,
look, you absolutely need to be, you're obviously goal orientated. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this stuff. And, but there's a big difference between writing a goal, working towards a goal, and doing whatever it takes to achieve that goal. Because a lot of people have goals. Oh yeah, I've got my goal, and 1st of January I sit down and I do my goals, and I'm like, if you're working on your goals on 1st of January, you don't understand the game, I don't think. But yeah, do you mean when I was younger, I was so diligent on my goals. Like, I'd write them out every single morning and every single night. I don't do it as much of that anymore. Okay. And my process has evolved a bit. But I used to get so upset with even just SMART goals. And I developed my own process. And at some point, you've got to figure out a process that works for you. But there's a real good way to write a goal and a way that's not beneficial to write a goal. So at some point, I'm going to probably put out on how I think people should write their goals and follow that. But I have a very clear set structure of what I want to achieve in the next 90 days, 180 days, and 10 years. Yeah. And the 10 years I never get to that. I'll never achieve that because
it constantly keeps moving.
It just constantly keeps moving.
Yeah.
But the 90 days and the 180, I have to achieve. I have to figure it out. I have to reverse engineer back to today. And what do I need to do today to get into my 90 and my 180? So even just the way you write your goals are imperative. I see too many people, even my staff, I say, show me your goals. I'm like, dude, if you say that for the next 90 days, you're not going to achieve what you think you're going to achieve. So understand how to write a goal. Understand what's truly behind a goal. I get super specific, and mine are, it's December 31st at 5 p.m. Yeah. I feel so grateful. I'm connecting to something that I want to achieve by having an outcome of that goal.
Yeah, so
right?
you write down the feeling when you've achieved
Yes.
it. Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So if I achieve what I want to achieve by December 31st at 5 p.m., what's the feeling I'm going to get from that goal? I feel so excited, passionate, grateful. I bring that to the forefront of my goal writing, right? So I got really specific around those things about 14 years ago, and that really helped me get really clear. And yeah, I've just followed my own process, and for me, I don't hit all my goals, but I'm hitting enough of them to keep thinking it's working. So yeah, if you're out there, you need to be goal oriented, but you need to be able to understand what's truly driving you. What would life look like if you achieve that goal? And is the goal all about you, or is it to make an impact outside of you? I mean, as soon as I started taking my goals off what I wanted to have and for the impact I wanted to make, things shifted for me. Do you mean? So put your goals on who you want to become, what you want to achieve outside of you, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to get financially remunerated for that.
Sure. I'll find a weird segue to get everything back to sales because it's my passion. But what I like what you said in there is when we make a sale or when we're communicating the value of what we're presenting, we often talk about outcomes. Don't sell the product, sell value and sell outcomes. The way it's going to make people feel. That's what you've just done with your goal setting. You've sold yourself on how you're going to feel at the end of the goal instead of focusing on the feature, not the benefit.
That's it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Look, I probably pinched off somebody, so I can't take onus that I built that.
I'll be teaching this tomorrow. So
mate, please do. I'd love that. So this is the education game, though. You take pieces from one expert, pieces from something, put it together. No one said to me, write it like this.
Yeah.
I just said, hey, I like that. Somebody said, get the feeling of it, and when you achieve that. I love the thought that somebody said, well, don't have it on you buying a new car. Have it on you having an impact in your community, which will probably get you the car at some point.
Sure.
And be super specific on the day and the time.
Yeah.
Even the time. I know that December 31st at 5 p.m. is always a super exciting time of the year for me because a lot of my goals lead up to that.
Yeah.
Right? So, and a lot of those are business goals because we're so calendar orientated in business and those kind of things, but charity outcomes and different things. And I always sit back at 5 p.m. and have a bit of a drink and get present with what did I truly achieve this year, because a lot of it comes down to December 31st on that calendar. So understanding how to write it and resonate with it can make such a difference.
And accountability, who's holding you accountable to these goals, is that important?
It is. Early in the days, I had usually like a buddy or somebody would go, hey, did you do this today?
Yeah.
Now it's all self-driven.
Yeah.
I have nobody over my shoulder saying, hey, did you do that? I've just done it for long enough to know that if I didn't do the actions today, the outcome's not going to come.
Yeah.
So I'm very self-driven, self-motivated. I don't need someone holding my hand. I don't know if that's arrogant or not, but...
Do you think that's because you've formed the habits now, you've got the muscle memory? So for those people, me a few years ago, I couldn't do that. I needed people to hold me accountable. Every Monday I'd come in and I'd go through my goals with my team. Yep. I know that Sunday nights were very productive because I didn't want to walk in on a Monday not achieving them.
Yes.
So you'd recommend having somebody hold you accountable in the early days?
100%. A coach, mentor, a friend or a buddy who's going to help you say, just text me when you have done those 3 actionable items.
Yeah.
Let's hold each other accountable. 100%. I see huge value in that. But as an entrepreneur, I haven't taken a salary for almost 20 years. So if I don't do what I need to do, the outcome doesn't come, I don't get paid.
Yeah.
So I made a decision a long time ago to refuse a salary. So if I don't continue to add value, I don't deserve to get paid. And I've had months where I don't get paid.
Self-imposed commission only structure.
Yeah. So, fortunately it hasn't been for a while, but if by now I still needed someone to hold my hand and just keep me accountable, there'd be something wrong. And I don't think the business would be where it's at if I did. And again, it's just over 20 years of building that muscle. And back in the day, I had so many lean months or quarters that just isn't fun. And when you figure out your process and you get in that rhythm, it's actually easier than you think.
Yeah.
So, I have a really good rhythm right now. I've got a lot of momentum and the business does as well. And it'd be easy to take my foot off the pedal. but I just don't want to do it. I just know I need to keep grinding, keep pushing hard. And the further I push, the harder I push in the right directions, the better the flow for me right now. So when you have those pockets of momentum, you don't stop.
Yeah.
You keep going, you put your foot down, and you enjoy the process.
Again, back to sales. That's why we have that roller coaster, because when we're up here, we take the foot off the gas, and then all of a sudden we're down again. I want to go back to speakers for a second.
Yeah.
Is there an ultimate speaker? You got your whiteboard there. Is there one person that's eluded you so far?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z. It is. I was going to say, is it Jay-Z?
It is, but we're working towards it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, I get very zoned in on who I want to do business with.
Yeah.
And again, hopefully not too arrogantly, I get super clear on who that is, and I zone in and I try and make the most of that. So, the wheels are in motion to have Jay-Z on our
Why
stage.
Jay-Z? Well, what is he going to teach the audience?
This is a guy who's got $1 billion valuation now. Amazing musician, writer, those kind of things. What he does from his philanthropic point of view is just phenomenal. He pays for a lot of the legal counsel for people struggling in certain areas when things don't go right. None of this is publicised.
Yeah.
This has all been leaked by somebody who actually knew him and wanted to get this stuff out. I think what he's done from a business perspective on a global scale across multiple sectors is to absolutely be applauded. His connection with culture and being relevant as a 45 or 6-year-old musician and has done that for 25 years and still relevant. I just think he's a rare entrepreneur who happened to sing. And I'm just in awe of what he does, and at some point we'll either do business together or he'll be on our stage. And it's just one of those people that I just want to get.
You will get, because when he goes. And on the flip side of that, and you don't need to name names here, have we had people on the stages over the years where you've gone, that didn't work?
Constantly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Constantly, yeah.
And why didn't it work, I guess would be.
Look, the celebrity component was what maybe got us excited, but the delivery of their message just didn't resonate, or they couldn't articulate in a way, or someone we thought was very integrity driven who wasn't integrity driven. Look, I've put people on stage who in hindsight go, what was I thinking? I can't believe I did that, right? So yeah, constantly. And look, not again, we won't mention any names, but I'm putting people on stage who, 6 months ago, yeah, let's not do that again. So it's a constant journey of trying to figure out who's going to resonate. At the end of the day, you need to just make an internal call and go, the due diligence and the research suggests that this would be great.
Sure.
However, we didn't see that coming on stage, and that's life. I can live with those decisions.
Yeah, that's a business decision in general. And they're a representation of your brand, ultimately, aren't they? So what is that process of finding the right people? Because you have a tick sheet, making sure that they...
Look, it's evolved. 15 years ago it was like we used to beg and plead, please come to Australia and do something, right? Now, we know a lot of the people that we want on our stage. If I don't know them, we can get access to them. There's people of late where I've just DM'd them. And they're like, I've heard of you guys, let's connect. So it's easier now that we've built a brand and we've built a business that crosses over the Australian borders into global, but it doesn't mean it's easy. There's people right now who I still love to get on our stage. I still love, and I just can't access them. And it's just so difficult and it's just so hard. So, this is the journey, and I love that there's still tough components.
You enjoy that game though?
I do.
Yeah, the hustle.
I do.
Trying to get them.
Here's an example. I won't mention any names, but I put someone on my whiteboard 2 weeks ago. I said, we're going to do stuff with him. Simon and I are in getting a haircut in Beverly Hills. The guy walks in, like of all the barbers in the world, right? Didn't even know his office was literally 2 doors down. Had no idea. I just said, I want to do that. Is that a coincidence?
What you focus on, you attract.
That's it. So I know, and I've done this for years, I boldly put on the piece of paper on my whiteboard what it is I want. It comes back to the goal setting, right? Or the things you're aspirational about. I boldly put out there what I want. Often I'll declare it publicly, and go, I'm going to do this, I want to do this, I want to attract this, I want to have this, I want to partner with this person. And over time, I've just seen, because I continue to move forward congruently, I don't cut corners, these kind of people just continue to pop up, and things kind of happen and flow. So yeah, it's a process. It's more of who you become than what you necessarily do.
Yeah.
Although you still have to do.
Sure.
But I love the hustle of still trying to get people at the top of my list
Yes.
and get to them.
I love the fact, firstly, you've got a list. We get this all the time. How do I communicate? How do I get hold of you, for instance? Why am I sitting in your office right now? Just from actually picking my phone up and sending somebody a message. What is the worst that could happen? I know Gary's a big fan of that as well.
Yep.
Reference to Gary, I guess. I mean, he's always kind of ahead of the game, and he always says he's curious about things. What are you curious about right now? What's grabbing your attention? Is there something in...
Oh, it's constantly. Whether it's charity stuff I could be doing, whether it's taking our business digital. Yeah, there's a lot around that sector happening right now. Whether it's our celebrity business that's going to be starting next year, which is aligning with the world's best in their field and putting them on stages around the world sharing their story. It's intriguing getting into that world, and it's intriguing not knowing what you don't know and understanding the whole hierarchy of what happens in that world.
Yes.
So that's intriguing. So look, I'm constantly curious and I'm constantly scratching the surface of different things going, hey, how could we do that but better?
Yeah.
How can we change that? How can we break that, rebuild it so it's just digital? So there's no fulfillment. There's no live event, and I don't need to book a room somewhere, right? So I think this gets back to my entrepreneurial ADD, being on the spectrum, is that I find it really hard to sleep at night because my mind just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I've tried to find ways to get it to stop, but the only way I know how is just let it out, find a way to harness it, and come up with different ideas and different things that are going to help me with my journey of solving problems. So I'm constantly curious.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to the digital side of things in a second, but just something you said in there really hit home with me. You're putting yourself in the right environment, you're meeting all these people at the top of their game. You come across extremely humble, I think that kind of oozes through you. You said earlier on you put Tony on a pedestal beforehand. I've done this for many years. I put people on pedestals, they won't want to talk to me, I'm not worthy of doing this, so on and so forth. Then when I've met them, I've gone, they're just real people. Does that happen does that happen on a celebrity level? Are you going, well, if they're just normal people and they've achieved X, Y, Z, does that then give you an intrinsic motivation to go, I can actually do this? Because I'm normal.
100%. I remember the first couple of times I met any celebrity who we put on our stage. I'll call it just Richard Branson. Do you mean 2009? I think was the first time I put Richard Branson on. I was out the back. I had to go for a walk. I didn't even want to introduce myself to him. And when it really comes down to it, we've all got the same kind of innate challenges. Either whether it's we're not good enough, or we're too good in some cases. They're just normal people. They've just been put on a pedestal from a global perspective for what it is they've achieved. So down to earth, everyday people is what 90% of them are. There's still 10% that truly believe the headlines and they're built that way, and that's cool, that's who they are. But the more and more I meet certain people, the more I'm surprised at how balanced, how normal, and how maybe the misperception of the media, gets them. So, and I'm not talking to massive global successes. There's a couple that we come across, but they're just normal people who are trying to do their thing. Here's my philosophy on it. If I'm in their presence, they're probably a good dude or a lovely lady. And I don't mean that because I'm someone special. It's just we resonated enough to go, you know what, we're in the same space. If you've given your time to be on our stage, you're probably a good person who wants to give back. Sure. There's plenty of people I've gone for and they're going, dude, I'm never going to do that. I don't want to do that.
That you've asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And they don't want to be on our stage. Now, that's totally cool too. So if you have this philosophy of I want to come on and share my story and give back, we've probably got similar values. Probably similar, traits. And at the end of the day, we're all coming from this this core of, what's guiding us, who we are, our belief systems, and most of them are just normal people.
And I just want to move on quickly because we're running out of time, but any sort of insecurities in people that you thought, no way, they feel like that? Again, you don't need to name them.
Yeah, constantly.
Any sort of nervousness backstage?
Oh yeah, I told a story several times of Richard Branson in that 2009 event. He wasn't told how many people were going to be there, and I remember him saying, "Hey, how many people got up there?" I said, about 7,000. He's like, "What?" Really? Wow. And in actual fact, he had to, within moments of that, he looked outside, looked physically ill from looking at all the people, and actually said, "I'm going to need a drink." And he had 2 shots of vodka in a very quick succession to give him the energy to go out. And I'm thinking, this is a guy who's done so much on a global scale in front of probably millions of people on TV and those kind of things. And here he was getting as nervous as I was, as I wanted to just go say hello to him. So that's an example. But every day I come up against people who we put on a pedestal who are just normal, good people, and they're out of their comfort zone. Yeah. They're not used to getting on stage in front of 7,000 people.
Yeah, because for a celebrity, that would be a different environment than standing in front of the camera with a script.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, and that would be one of my questions from stage. Would the elite performers, the ones that really kind of own it, what do they do well? What's the 2 or 3 things that?
I think they're really connecting to an outcome they want to achieve for that talk or that mission or purpose, whatever it is. I don't believe in being heavily scripted. Do you mean I love and follow Ed Milet, who, he talks about, I think he does, however long his talk is, he'll put in 7 times that in preparation to get to that talk. So if it's an hour talk, he'll do 7 hours of prep. Now, I know of Gary Vee, he'll go out there and go, as he's walking up the stairs, he'll think of 3 things that are pertinent for him right now, and that's his topic.
Yeah.
One's not
so he doesn't prep you before?
Never.
Yeah, well.
Now, we might say, hey, here's the theme of the event, here's this and this and this. So, don't go out and talk about something that's completely not on point. Yeah. But there's nothing to say that Ed's process and Gary's, one's better than the other.
Yeah.
They're both world-class speakers. So, it's all about putting your focus on what's the outcome you want. This has been my mission for 20 years. If I don't figure out a way to get my outcome, whatever that is, I'm not going to get the result, right? So if I need to do the hard work to get to there to get the result, that's what I've got to do. If Gary is so evolved that he can take 3 steps up the stage and go, this content, that, and that, and that's all he does,
Don't rein him in.
Good luck to him. That's his process. So putting your focus on the outcome for the client is always going to pay you well.
Amazing. One that I always like to ask, a bit cheesy, but what should I be asking you? Is there anything that you go, this will be valuable for the end user? Is there a question that kind of catches you off guard that you're like?
Oh, constantly. Look, I'm echoing so many of my other mentors right now that people listen to, but take your focus off, a 3-year, $10 million game plan. Put it on a macro 40 to 50 year game plan. It will change over time. Don't think that by you doing that it's going to lock you in and you can't do anything else, but have a long-term vision for this. Just like when I was younger, I thought I could do all this in 2 or 3 years, and it's just so unrealistic. I think we put so many unrealistic parameters on our own goals and vision and mission that we're choking. It's like having the soap in the shower. The more you squeeze it, the more it wants to pop out. So have something you feel really passionate about and say, could I do this for the next 50 years? And then just move forward diligently. You do that, you're going to tick off some goals well before that time frame. You're going to stick to a congruent goal. A money or a financial outcome as a goal is a very incongruent outcome. Incongruent way of moving forward. And often it can tarnish, congruency and integrity and those kind of things because you just want to achieve that financial outcome. So don't cut corners, have a long-term vision, and that's what I would tell people. Some of my keys to success is do that and things will work out.
And maybe this answers itself then. So how do you be patient with a macro goal like that? Or do you not need to be patient if every day is your passion and you love it?
Yeah, that's definitely. I think, Gary talks about patience so much right now, and it's so true. But if you're getting up and you're making 50 grand doing something you're passionate about, or 5 million, the money is great, but you're still getting up doing what you love, right? I do believe the money catches up though.
Okay.
So there's some people out there who are going, Mike, you don't understand, I want to achieve this by the time I'm 30. And you may achieve that, but then there may be nothing else after that.
Yeah.
Right? So have a goal that's congruent to what it is that you want to change in this planet. The money will find it, will find you. It will catch up to you, it'll figure it out, and it'll probably be greater than you ever thought. But putting your focus on things that are going to solve a problem, not just going to solve your financial problem.
Amazing.
That's what I would tell people.
Love it. Final thing, how does everybody stay up to date with you? Success Resources, how do we connect?
Yeah, successresources.com. You'll see 500 plus events on there. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. And for me, all my social handles is it's Michael Lane. ITS Michael Lane.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I've learned heaps, and I know these guys will have as well.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Pleasure. Cheers.
Thanks.